I saw when you were doing when Dr. Jones is in your classroom with Dr. Jones on the report card.
What?
That you guys had some Rosa Parks Rosa Parks homework or story or classwork or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you knew how to do it because you knew Rosa Parks.
Yeah.
That was good. That was easy, right?
Yeah.
Super easy. You already knew Rosa Parks. You already knew what it was about.
Yeah.
Some other kids, it was the first time they had seen Rosa Parks, probably, right?
No.
Probably some.
No.
Everybody knew Rosa Parks.
Yeah. Everybody was supposed to.
Yeah, after they learned it, but they didn't know about it before. Like you knew about it before. That's what I'm saying. From the Martin Luther King book and other stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I'm just saying you had a little bit more insight. And more insight. You know what more insight does? It makes it easier to get A's. Easier, bro. Easier. Like when you practice hitting a lot, then it's easier to hit. Or when you practice throwing a lot, it's easier to throw. When you practice catching a lot, it's easier to catch.
Yeah.
Or when you practice dodgeball, it's easier to dodge the ball. You have to dodge the ball in dodgeball?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, let's go. Where we at? It's been like a week. We had a week off. Let's go. I'm excited to see how this ends. Well, I'm not excited to see how it ends, but I'm excited to finish the book.
Not even at the end.
Well, that's why we're reading.
Old and new struggles for justice.
Old and new struggles for justice.
On March 21st, some 4,000 people gathered behind Dr. King, Ralph Butchie, and Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel of the Jewish Theology Seminary.
Seminary, yeah. Are you okay? Is your nose okay? Do you need to blow it?
No.
Are you sure?
It's just dust.
Okay, well let's read and not dust. I mean, that's slowing you down.
For a long march to Montgomery, the marchers started their journey full of hope. All kinds of people participated in this march for freedom. Many carrying large U.S. flags. There were nuns, farmers, teenagers, news reporters, and even a one-legged white man on crutches. As the huge crowd of demonstrators marched slowly down Jefferson Davis Highway near the end of.
Oh my God, bro, you're the worst storyteller. Come on, blow your nose. Let's go. Just make it smooth.
Near the end of the 5-day march, this caravan of people had grown to 25,000. Rumors spread that when they reached Montgomery, Martin would be assassinated.
Ooh.
What's assassinated?
Assassinate means somebody's gonna shoot and kill you. Somebody's so mad that they're gonna shoot and kill you. So there's rumors, because remember the back then the people in the South, the white people in the South in those areas didn't want black people to have success on the level that they were having, and they were very angry that Martin Luther King was trying to uplift minorities, right? So there's rumors that somebody's just gonna shoot him, somebody's just gonna assassinate him, shoot him, stab him, bomb him, throw a hand grenade, something, make him die.
Yeah.
So let's hope that doesn't come true, but let's see if it does.
But Martin marched on, and since he had no intention of leaving the marchers, something had to be done to protect him. Martin always wore the good preacher blue suit, Andrew Young recalled later, and I figured since we couldn't stop him from marching, everybody who was about Martin's size and had a blue suit, I put in front of the line. Young said that none of these men in blue suits were aware of what was going on at the time.
Wow. You know what that means?
What?
So they're worried that Martin might get assassinated, right?
Yeah.
So they came up with a plan. They said, let's make a bunch of Martin Luther King lookalikes. Let's say if we thought Isaiah was going to get assassinated today, right? So he has a short kind of fade haircut. He has brown light skin or middle complexion like milk complexion, brown skin. He has a gray metal shirt on and blue pants and black shoes with white socks, right?
Yeah.
So they found 100 other kids that were like the same color, like the kid last night playing baseball and stuff. Remember playing first base? Remember the kid in the game? And they put all those kids in the same color, and they put them all in the front. And they didn't tell the kids why they put them on, but why did they put them in the same colors?
So they didn't know which one it was.
Yeah, we didn't know which one it was, but that means that puts them all kind of at risk, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Okay, go.
No. At last, the marchers reached Montgomery. Martin walked the final few feet up the steps of the Capitol building and addressed the crowd. However, difficult at the moment, however frustrating the hour. It will not be long, because the truth crushed into the earth will rise again. How long? Not long, because you shall reap what you sow. How long? Not long, because you're the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. How long? Not long. How long? Not long, because mine eyes have seen the glory of coming of the Lord.
My eyes? Mine eyes, yeah. Because mine eyes. Okay.
Martin wanted to call on Governor Wallace to present him petition asking him to remove the
discriminatory
regulations that kept black people from registering to vote.
So discriminatory practices, right? You know what discriminatory practices mean?
What?
When someone discriminates against you, what does that mean?
What does that mean?
Discriminate means they're treating you unfair just because of who you are. Just because of something about you. They don't care. They're just treating you unfair. So Martin wanted the governor back then in that state was not letting black people vote just because they're black. And that's discriminatory. So Martin wants him to remove those discriminatory regulations that prevented black people from registering to vote. That's unfair.
Why does the governor get to do it?
The governor gets to decide.
President?
Well, the president decides on the federal level, but the governor approves stuff on the state level, decides on the state level. So first you got to get the governor. Then maybe you get the president involved, down the line. But first you get the governor, right? First, let's see, can we get the governor involved? Can we get the governor to say, I want to end discriminatory practices,
Yeah.
So that's what Martin's trying to do.
After the petition was delivered, the marchers decided that it would be best to give out Montgomery as fast as possible, since there had been threats of danger.
They really, after we got to get out of Alabama, Montgomery, Alabama, as quick as possible, right? Why do they want to get out so fast?
Because the white people are going to assassinate all of them.
Yeah, they might. They just might. They're worried about that for sure. It's definitely a possibility.
Among the number of car owners who had volunteered to drive some of the marchers back to Selma was Volo Flusu, a white homemaker for Detroit. She completed one trip to Selma and then returned to Montgomery. A young black man rode with her. As they drove down Route 80, a car with 4 Ku Klux Klansmen.
Ku Klux Klan, KKK, remember those guys?
Yeah. And it pulled alongside them. Shots were fired, and 2 of the bullets hit Miss Luzo, killing her, and the car veered off into a ditch. What does ditch mean?
Ditch means like just a big hole in the kind of like a valley in the road, like when you're driving and you fall down the side, kind of like over there.
Oh.
The side off the freeway is a ditch. Or when we go up on the freeway, up the freeway in a minute, the side is like the ditch. So it went off the side into kind of lower off the side. Okay, go ahead.
The young black man riding in with Miss Luzo, aware that the murderers were peering into the car, pretended to be dead. Blood on his clothing helped him to create an illusion. When the man left, he got out of the car and flagged down the passing motorist, who had happened to be another demonstrator. Later, it was reported that 4 of the men in the car, Gary Rowe, was an FBI informant. As a mother, wrote Coretta King, I felt my heart go away to her now motherless children, and to her devoted husband who had been widowed and now had sole responsibility for the children. Of course, will obviously inflame the racists who killed the sight of a white woman in a car with black men on a dark Alabama road. There had been a mountain of obstacles, and many had given their lives, but nothing could stop the joy that was heard when President Johnson signed the Voting Rights Bill on August 6, 1965. Segregation by law, which existed all over the South, goes though cripplingly below beyond the law, though. Segregation was still practiced both in the North and South. Martin wanted to carry the idea of nonviolent protest to the North. He went to Chicago to lead the big demonstration in the summer of 1965. When Martin got to Chicago, he joined his aides. But rather than taking a room at a hotel, Coretta chose to move in slum housing in a poverty-stricken section of the city.
Poverty-stricken.
They want to show their support and their followers who were poor, Coretta recalled. It was a railroad flat with a sitting room in front of the rest of the rooms going straight back. 2 bedrooms, a kitchen, and a bathroom of sorts. You have to go through the bedrooms to get to the kitchen. The difference Martin Luther King made to a troubled world can be seen in the work of what he did while living among the poor. In Chicago, Martin made a point of working with the street gangs. We held the workshops and gang leaders, trying to communicate with the discipline of nonviolence. Coretta wrote her memoir. In the end, many members of the gangs pledged themselves in nonviolence and demonstrated with us in accordance with our beliefs. The effectiveness of our work with the Chicago teenage gangs, and one of the greatest tributes of the nonviolent method into my husband's leadership. The big rally they had planned in Chicago to take place on Sunday, July 10th in 1966 was attended by 5,000 people. I want every black person in Chicago to withdraw their money from the banks and savings and loan companies that practice discrimination. And I want you to boycott these companies that refuse to hire you. Then he led them on a march to City Hall to see the mayor. But the City Hall was closed. When the marchers arrived the next day, the mayor agreed to meet with Martin, but nothing came of it. The evening violence Operation Breadbasket. A new organization had some success in Atlanta and in several other southern cities. A young preacher named Jesse Jackson was given the responsibility of heading the organization through and had some impact in helping blacks get employment and assisting others to find relief. Operation Breadbasket will now come close to solving widespread in the black communities of Chicago. As in so many other parts of America, by the spring of 1967, Dr. King was becoming more and more concerned about the war in the United States to involve it with overseas in Grenada, a small nation in
Grenada.
Southeast Asia.
Grenada?
Yeah. No.
Like a grenade?
Grenada.
Grenada, like it's
No.
an island of hand grenades.
Vietnam.
And Vietnam? Oh, Vietnam, not Grenada?
Yeah.
Vietnam. Okay, Vietnam.
Here's the picture.
Okay, see it. See it.
More than anything, Martin was angry about the enormous amount of money being spent on support and conflict in Vietnam.
What? Vietnam.
This money, he told his friends, is sorely needed to help feed America's starving masses. According to Martin's estimate, the government spent $322,000 for each enemy soldier killed in Vietnam, but only $35 for the poor rich person in this country. Martin prayed a long while for the later discussed and matter with his family and friends before deciding to speak against the war in Southeast Asia. Martin chose Riverside Church in New York City as the site where he would speak out to oppose the war in Vietnam, relating it to the civil rights movement. Martin began in almost a whisper, but then he went on strong voice to deliver this instructional too. So I was increasingly completed to see the war of the enemy of the poor and attacked it to see such. Martin suggested 5 concrete things that the government should do immediately to end its involvement in the war. 1. End all bombing in North and South Vietnam. 2. Declare the unlettered ceasefire and hope that such action will create the atmosphere for negotiation. 3. Take immediate steps to prevent other battlegrounds in Southeast Asia by curtailing our military buildup in Thailand and an imprint in Laos. 4. Realistically accept the fact that the Nation Liberation Front had substantial support in South Vietnam and must thereby play a role in any meaningful negotiations in a future Vietnamese government.
Let me ask you this. So, what does Martin want to do with Vietnam? America's in war with Vietnam. Have you heard of the Vietnam War?
No.
Okay, so a long time ago, America got into a war with another country. Vietnamese people kind of look like almost like Asian people. Well, they are Asian people, but they look kind of like, I don't know if you have a Japanese friend or a Chinese friend or something like that. They look somewhat like that. Okay. So when you think about a Vietnamese person, kind of you can think about that. But anyway, there was a war, U.S. against Vietnam. Now, what does Martin Luther King want to do? What does he want the U.S. to do?
stop.
He wants them to stop. He wants them to stop bombing them, stop fighting them, right? Just because he's all about peace, right? He's not just about peace for black people. He's about peace for people, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
5. Set a date that will remove all foreign troops from Vietnam to accordance with the 1954 Geneva Agreement.
So do you know what foreign means?
What?
Do you know what a foreigner is?
What's a foreigner?
Foreigner?
What's a foreigner?
It's a person not from where you're from, right?
Yeah.
So when somebody comes to America that's from another country, they're a foreigner. But when we go to another country, we're a foreigner, right?
Yeah.
When we went to Egypt, we were foreigners, right?
Yeah.
So Martin Luther King wants all the foreigners to leave Vietnam, which means who does he want to leave Vietnam?
What?
Martin Luther King wants the foreigners to leave Vietnam. Well, who's the foreigner in Vietnam?
Who's a foreigner in Vietnam?
Well, when you're in Vietnam, if you live in Vietnam and you're from Vietnam, then you're Vietnamese. You're not the foreigner. So who's over there in Vietnam? Who's not supposed to be in Vietnam?
Martin.
No, America. America's fighting Vietnam in Vietnam. So Martin wants the Americans to leave, and anybody else, but mainly the Americans he's talking about.
Okay.
There you go.
Having presented his demands, Martin moved to the close of his long, thoughtful speech, his voice gaining power and persuasion. We
Power and
must move
persuasion.
past indication to action, he said. He must find new ways to speak for peace in Vietnam and justice throughout the developing world that borders in our doors. And if we do not act, we shall surely be dragged down along dark, shameful corridors of this time reserved for those who possesses power of time reserved for those who possesses power without compassion, might without mortality, and without compassion.
So power without compassion, what does that mean? Power without compassion.
What does it mean?
So that means like daddy's strong, right? Powerful, right?
Yeah.
But what if I was strong and mean? Right? Compassion means kindness.
Yeah.
So you want to be strong but kind. Like, I hope you think I'm strong but kind, right?
Yeah.
But what if I was strong and mean?
What?
Like no compassion, power without compassion.
Non-compassion.
Yeah, power without compassion. That's what he's saying. He doesn't want people to be power without compassion. Like strong and no compassion, non-compassion. You want to be strong with compassion. He wants the U.S. to be strong. We got to be a strong nation, but we want to have compassion. Go ahead. Go keep reading.
For this bold stand, Martin became even more outspoken. He spoke of the United States as the America's greatest pursuit of violence today. He remarked, if America's soul became totally poisoned, part of the autopsy must reach Vietnam. Now, Dr. King was standing directly in the national spotlight. He was under surveillance by the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
What's the Federal Bureau of Investigation? FBI, right? You know the FBI?
Yeah. After the speech, Martin was listened by the revolutionary by the FBI. The Johnson administration was the concern too.
What's that mean? The Johnson administration?
What does it mean?
Who's a Johnson?
Who is Johnson?
That's the president.
Yeah.
What president's named Johnson? Around that time.
The 39th president.
Which one is that?
I forgot. It was somewhere like the 39th.
I think it's the
40th.
36th president. And I think it's Lyndon B. Johnson.
I thought he was like the.
Isn't Kennedy the 35th?
Yeah.
Okay, and Lyndon B. Johnson was after Kennedy.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So the Johnson administration is Lyndon B. Johnson. That when they say like the Johnson administration or something, they're usually talking about the president. Okay, go ahead.
was concerned too. They were eager to know if Martin's radical position against the war might also mean that he was interested in running for political office. Rumors were heard that Martin might run as an anti-war candidate for the presidency of 1968. There were many ordinary citizens who let Martin know they were disliked his position on the war in Vietnam. Many people backed the United States involvement there. They accused Martin with words like treason and communist sympathizer.
Communist sympathizer.
New York Times and the North said that Martin was wrong to connect in the war of Vietnam. With the civil rights movement, the two things that were distinct and separate, the certain black leaders said Martin was wrong for meddling in the government's internal policies.
Okay, fold the page. Let's go. Let's pick up tomorrow.
This is like
We're
the
here.
8th one.
Okay. 8th? All right. Bye.
Bye.